All right, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode. I'm here downtown Vancouver with my man, Celeb Jennings, that we're talking all about biohacking your health, wellness, and optimizing your life. This guy I met in Whistler about a decade ago, snowboarding, and since then I've seen him just create some of the best health companies and have still running them, some of you exited if you want to share about those. But we're really excited to get into the content today. I'm still on like zero sleep, so if I'm not really as dialed in or optimized as I should be, that's why. But regardless, it'll be a great conversation today, so thanks for tuning in. So Celeb, man, you are Mr. Biohacking, I would say. Out of all the people I know, I would say you and Dave Asprey are probably the two Canadian, hackers that have the biggest impact on the industry of optimizing health. So how did you get into it, man?
Thank you, man. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, it was just a whole long story of a bunch of health issues that I had growing up. Digestive issues, skin issues, energy, like lack thereof. I grew up as a pro athlete in snowboarding and did a bunch of downhill mountain biking and all sorts of extreme sports, which kept me going for a while. And so I kind of didn't notice the health issues as much. It was just like, I'm having fun, I'm doing what I love, and pretty athletic, pretty great shape. It was all good. But when I switched gears, moved to Arizona, and I got off the mountain, essentially, I just really started to notice them pop up. And I started getting some weight, and the issues started getting worse. And I go see doctors, and I talk to different professionals, and nobody knew it was wrong. Like, nobody could figure out. They're like, here's some antibiotics. Good luck. And do you want a vaccine while you're at it? And I'm just like, I'm good on those. Yeah. Thank you, but I'll figure it out myself. And so, yeah, it's just really a journey of just trying to figure out how to heal my own self. Just like, if other people can do this, I can do it too. And so, yeah, I just dove down the rabbit hole of health. And, long story short with it, I went from sort of top level where you kind of start Googling around to working with some of the top scientists and researchers around the world.
Yeah.
And just getting super nitty gritty. And then I got like down on the scale of, cellular dynamics. So I went from like, you got the outside external, how you look, you got the internal, how you feel, how you digest. And then I was getting more and more curious with deeper layers of the different systems of the body and the mind. And the more I got down to it, I got to a certain point where I came across some incredible research by Dr. Doug Wallace on mitochondrial health.
Okay, yeah.
And mitochondria is like the key. That's the key. And what drives that key is light. Yeah. And so I got super geeky into biophysics and biophotonics, which is the study of light affecting health and different genetic markers, different systems. And just really blew my mind wide open. And it started working for me. I started sharing it with some friends, and it worked for them. They shared it with others. It started working for them. And so that kind of just kicked it all off.
Well, I would say that along that lines, when I remember one of our first conversations, you were really studying cognition, I think. You were like really into like the brain and optimizing memory, performance. So I think that a lot of people get into this industry of trying to optimize because they have personal problems. I know, like for myself, I was always a basketball player and an athlete, so I always need to be at the top of my game. But now, getting older, you kind of want to get it into this, Peter Pan syndrome, where like, because I saw this guy and I haven't seen you in like 10 years since in Whistler. I'm like, dude, you look exactly the same. I'm like, whatever you're doing, man, keep doing it because it's working. Like, you look exactly the same a decade later. And a lot of my friends, I can't say that with, like a lot of people that aren't really conscious of this area of their lives, it can slip away pretty quickly and pretty easily.
Yeah, it's some people don't notice it. It's going by, and then 10 years later, it's usually like you look in the mirror and like, oh, what happened? What did I do? Where did I go wrong? Yeah. And then you start getting into it and trying to figure out solutions, figure out strategies that work for your own health.
Yeah. But like I said, when I saw you just down in the lobby here, I'm like, man, you look exactly the same. I'm like, I feel like I'm in Whistler, like Back to the Future style here. So what is your daily, like your DMO, daily methods of operation, as far as like all the things and all the tools and toys that you have? Like, we were playing with some EMF blankets that I have here and stuff. Like, we were both like in the same,
He busts out his EMF reader. I'm like, dude, I love you. This is incredible. I'm with my people.
Yeah. So like, I know that you're mentioning a few of the things that you even use for jet lag and stuff like that. Yeah. So like, what are your go-tos as far as like dialing it in and being the Peter Pan that you are? That should be your new nickname.
I did a whole heck of a lot in the beginning, and then I got to refining it over time. And I just realized that, it's nice to spend all of your day in self-care if you have that luxury to a degree.
Yeah, right.
But I'm running an online business, and then I'm running multiple online businesses. I'm managing teams around the world on different time zones. Servers would go down in the middle of the night, my time, and I'd have to stay up all night with my tech ninja who lived in the UK at the time. And it was just an incredible ride from a business perspective, but then it would start degrading my health. And I'm like, okay, I can't spend all day self-care and stay up all night working on things.
Yeah.
How do I refine this down a bit? And so now it's gotten, I've simplified it, refined it to a degree. And my current operation is usually wake up and, great night's sleep is like obviously a precursor key. And then from there, I'll just load up on water, usually throw some salt and some lemon juice in there just for fun. And then, get properly hydrated. I stretch. I like to move in the morning. So I'll stretch, I'll do some yoga. I'll just whatever just gets my body moving and grooving. Throw in some push-ups and calisthenics just for blood pumping, not even as a workout. I love to work out in the gym heavy. Yeah. But then at home, you just want to keep moving.
Sure.
And my other one too, it's one of my, top secret ones, quote unquote, that Crystal introduced me to. And she taught me how to do coffee enemas, which sounds funny, sounds crazy, a little controversial out there. But don't knock it till you try it. It is incredible when you get the right stuff, you get the proper kit, the right coffee. We add glutathione to it as well as like a supercharged antioxidant booster for the liver.
I got a question on glutathione after.
Oh, yeah, sure,
keep going.
Yeah, totally geek out on that one.
Yeah.
And so I'll usually do that. I'll do a coffee enema. And then with that, I like to meditate and just do mindfulness type practices while I'm in that state. It's just a nice time for my body to just like chill and relax and detox and just kind of bring the inflammation down.
Yeah.
And then, occasionally I'll work from it, but I don't like using the phone too much.
Yeah.
I'm doing this, like I got the screen in front of me. I'd rather get sunlight, and that's actually before the water and everything. Sunlight in the eyes first thing in the morning. That's
circadian rhythm.
It's so simple that I forget to mention it sometimes. Yeah. But yeah, so I love to get sunlight in my eyes and on my skin before all that. Go through, do the coffee enema. I'll usually do a sauna. So the days I do a sauna, I put that before the coffee enema because I go through and occasionally I'll do like the B3 niacin, that niacin flush sauna.
No.
You heard of that protocol?
No.
It's amazing for incredible detoxification. Heavy metals, pesticides, all sorts of stuff just gets right out.
Yeah.
And we've done lab tests, we've done biomarkers. Like we have lab statistical evidence that it does work. So anyone that likes to argue against that, it's like, again, don't knock it till you try it. But it's an incredible back-to-back combo.
Yeah.
So in the span of hour and a half, I've just, dramatically worked my body. Right. Movement, flexibility training, hydration, detoxification, reducing inflammation, proper light in the eyes and on the skin, all that goodness tied into one. And so that's usually the morning. And then I'll go in and I tend to fast for a bit.
Intermittent fasting?
Yeah, like a bit. I've got a weird hybrid. I call it like intuitive fasting, where most days I'll fast intermittently.
Yeah.
And then some days I won't. I just kind of feel into my body what it needs at the time.
Yeah.
If I'm working out heavier, I'll obviously eat a bit more to fuel that.
Yeah.
But it's just an incredible flow that my body loves and keeps me going. And then we can get into others because I have other stuff I do throughout the day too. But that's usually the morning is getting that set up, and I'll throw in some reading or writing.
But that's a pretty powerful morning routine. The thing I wanted to go back to with the glutathione. So I was about to do it. I was actually briefly dating a doctor in Korea, and she just got a bunch of it for me.
The injections?
Yeah.
Like the push IVs?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the best ways.
Yeah, and then I started doing some research online about it and just heard all these horror stories of people just like literally like almost dying from taking
They're not ready for it. It's pretty potent.
Yeah, so I pulled the brakes on that, and I'm like, I don't want to risk it. And so I didn't do it. So I've got a bunch of it sitting at home.
Oh man, you got the stash of glutathione.
Yeah. And I was just kind of like, and my mom's a nurse, so I messaged her about it. She's like, well, if you don't feel like you need it, then why would you risk it? I'm like, well, you can always need something. So I haven't done it, but so you've done it like how? Yeah, really. Yeah,
there's so many different ways. The funny thing so I got this book on glutathione. It's years ago. I was working with Joe Sugarman and some amazing people at a stem cell company that they were running and helping them on the marketing side.
Okay.
But in that, I got access to the biochemist, scientist, and he was a kooky wizard of a guy. I mean, he created some of the most epic formulations of the time that I came across, and he was obsessed with glutathione. And so one of the products we had was a transdermal glutathione that had rapid absorption and delivery to the body because, one, it's a very sensitive molecule. Two, if you do the IV pushes, where let's say you're getting a Myers cocktail, which is vitamin C and minerals, electrolytes, a bunch of the basic good stuff. And you have the IV push they add into it, like you have.
Yeah.
That gets circulated, and so you get a really nice potent dose, but it only lasts in your bloodstream about 2 to 3 minutes. It doesn't it gets degraded very rapidly. But that little push, that little boost of it can really make a difference. So I started doing the IVs on a weekly basis.
Weekly?
Yeah, I was doing it here in Vancouver. And it was incredible how I felt with that.
Yeah.
Then I added the glutathione pushes onto it, and it just took me to a whole new level. It was incredible.
That's what that's what I've heard. I've heard like extremes. You either feel amazing or you almost die. And
it
I was
depends
like,
on what you got going on inside.
Yeah. I think that the other thing that some people were doing was like a number of the people that were commenting and sharing their horror stories, they were also doing a heavy metal detox. So they were, what is it called? Chelation. Chelation. And that's something I've looked into too, but at the same time, there's different ways to go about that too. Have you done? Yeah, you got to be careful.
I've done it. So, so I've got a history of acute metal exposure.
Do you want to maybe?
Oh yeah, go through here. So with the metal exposure, it was interesting because I had done a lot of things, made a lot of progress, transformed my health in a number of ways, which was great, but I still had some lingering issues.
Okay.
And, I'd met my girlfriend, Crystal, and she actually has a crazy history with metals as well. And she actually went blind from it for a while. And she was like blind for a couple years.
Wow, a couple years?
A couple years. And then she went through the whole rigmarole with doctors and Western medical sciences. Didn't help at all, couldn't figure it out. They thought she had MS or lupus. They're like just slapping names on it. Which it was none of those things. And she found a doctor in Reno, Nevada, who's an absolute wizard. And his name's Dr. Michael Gerber, the Gerber Clinics. If anybody is interested, definitely go see him before he retires because he is such a gem. And he basically was like, we're going to put you through this protocol. We're going to get you set straight. Yeah. And part of that was the IV chelation. Now, it really helped her because of such an acute exposure. But for a lot of people, if you just had buildup, it's better to do the natural way over a longer period of time to let your body really help out just clearing it out bit by bit. Yeah. Because if you force it out too hard, you're going to come up with a lot of those symptoms that make you feel like you want to die. Yeah. It's terrible. It's excruciating. It's not fun.
It's scary, man. I was reading these cases. I was like, man, that's
you see what people go through and they think they're doing something healthy and then they feel worse from it. And sometimes that's the case. You just have to accept that. Sometimes you're going to feel worse before you feel better. But so long as you do recover and feel better, it's worth it. And the IV also comes with the other issues, kind of an added bonus issue of, because it's a pharmaceutical, it's so strong and so powerful, it's really good at chelating. And now chelate is just a fancy term for claw. It means to claw things out, claw metal out of you. Yeah. And so it's yanking it out of your tissues, out of your fat stores, but it also dissolves biofilms. Now biofilms are basically a little, think of it as like little sticky, cauldrons of bacteria that hide underneath this mucosal lining within your gut, within your arteries, veins, they're everywhere. Yeah. And if you bust those open too soon, your immune system's low already, you're going to be exposed to different toxins and different elements and microbes and pathogens that you've been harboring for sometimes decades. And if your immune system's not ready to handle that, it's really going to throw you into a tailspin. So I usually recommend going through a gentle chelation. Yeah. Dr. Chris Shade is one of my favorite dudes on that subject. He's one of the most brilliant in the world on the topic of detoxification.
I'm in his Facebook group.
Oh, yeah.
I'm in that Facebook group, the heavy metal Facebook.
Yeah. Quicksilver Scientific is his company. They have amazing products. And he actually invented a patented test. It's called the Tri-Mercury test. A test for 3 different forms of mercury. And that's one of the most advanced tests you can get because based on the type, you need to do different things. Yeah, no, it's super important. I know our mutual friend, Stephen James. Yeah. Yeah, so I remember he was going through and he did a whole video series about his process of his heavy metals detoxing. And that's kind of what got me looking into it is connecting with him. So yeah, lots of information online, but you got to make sure that you're taking the information from the right people online. Exactly.
You can hear a lot of different things
too.
Yeah, no, for sure. You mentioned earlier about a few of your online businesses that you're running and that you have run in the past. So if you want to kind of share what you have done, what you're up to now, and how people can kind of learn from, this is one of the guys you do want to listen to online for sure. So yeah, definitely you've got a lot of good, great content out there. So
thank you, man. Yeah, it was incredible. I mean, I got introduced to the online world more through affiliate marketing back in the day. Yeah. Then I had a stint working with Infusionsoft, which is a CRM company. They've actually changed their name to Keep now, Keap. Okay. And they're a phenomenal company, amazing people, had a lot of fun with them, and was just basically installing CRMs into people's businesses and helping them at least, triple or quadruple their revenue within the first year. Yeah. And it was incredible to see that happening. And I was like, man, I really want to build my own business like this sometime. And so I did some marketing consultation for some amazing companies. And I just had a prerequisite that you had to be making $2 million or more a year in revenue, actively the past 2 years. And you have to be doing something that is good for humanity. Something that is heart-centered, something that is good, that is not just ripping people off or harming the environment in some way. And so that was an amazing time. And then I just got that itch. I was like, I need to do something with this. So long story short, with that part, I was transforming my health through using different plant-based cleanses and different smoothies and green juices and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Sharing it with friends and, you know, started a Facebook page.
Green juices, as he says.
Yeah,
Happy morning here. Yeah.
And yeah, so that basically, you know, no pun intended, organically blew up and skyrocketed online. And we got to 50,000 fans on Facebook without spending a penny.
Wow.
And people were just loving the recipes. And it was me and my former partner. We were just sharing all the best stuff we knew and all the best things that were the tastiest and we thought were the healthiest at the time and helped us a ton. Yeah. And we ended up running worldwide smoothie challenges. You know, we had 20, 30,000 people at a time in there from over 100 countries. And it was just a simple email series, but we just were like, here's a recipe a day for a simple green smoothie. Because my whole idea was, what's the simplest thing that someone can do to start getting more nutrition into their life without disrupting everything else, without throwing everything out of their pantry? And I came up with Mexico. I was like, well, most people have a blender. Yeah. Most people have access to good veggies. Yeah. Most people can chop them into little bits and throw it in and blend it up. And so the Green Smoothie Challenge was born. Nice. And it was incredible to see the impact that had on the world. Right. And people in our group, I mean, they met each other, they connected. Some of them got married through it. Wow. Some of them, you know, raising kids together through it. A lot of great friendships still lasting to this day. So it was a beautiful thing. And we came out with some iPhone apps and hit #1 on iTunes numerous times, got featured a bunch. So we had some amazing success with that, grew it super big, and a couple million uniques a month to the blog. And yeah, it was incredible. So that was Young and Raw. That was that company. And while I was in Bali some years ago, ended up selling it to another friend who actually transformed his health through the company. He had bought our cleanse and done the smoothie challenges, and he was like,
perfect customer, now owner,
yeah, and it was fantastic. So we had
a great time with that.
Oh yeah, his name's Fruit. Yeah, Fruit. Yeah, he's still running it. They're still kicking over there, which is great.
Wow. And our friend Rob Toth helped with that deal.
Oh yeah, big shout out to Rob, man. Rob over in Budapest. Originally, I mean, from Vancouver, in my view. But yeah, Budapest is where he's authentically from.
yeah. No, I went to all those Canadian marketing summits that he would run.
Yeah, he was rocking those for some years.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was like the big intro to it all. And then from there, after selling that company, I just rolled it into basically it was like a lot of people label it like a David versus Goliath battle, which I didn't know at the time. It's a weird thing with my personality where I like to somehow take on these massive challenges, seemingly insurmountable, and then somehow surmount
pulling it off.
Yeah, so it's a fun thing, but can be challenging at times, obviously. Not the most stress-free of living, but very fulfilling, extremely fulfilling. And so I tackled the world of smoking cigarettes. Wow. That was the next part. And I never smoked myself, but I was interested from a cognitive perspective about the benefits of nicotine. And I thought I got a bad rap because of cigarettes and did a lot of research, went down the rabbit hole of that. And long story short, formulated the world's healthiest organic e-juice for vaporizers, an alternative to smoking. And I was like, hey, the more people I can help quit smoking and the more people I can help that are vaping toxic stuff that's in there because it was unregulated at the time and still is a big issue. And, you know, about the time of this filming, there's a company called Juul, Juul, that is like the biggest vape company, but they use extremely addictive products and beyond just what nicotine is. And they use a lot of chemicals and fillers and flavors in their stuff. And so people are having all these issues arise where they think they're doing something healthier than smoking. And it technically is by a bit. Yeah. But if you're still inhaling things you should not be inhaling, it's not cool. Yeah. So I formulated just this herbal base infused. We got sea algae, different medicinal herbs in it. Use only organic nicotine that's never been exposed to lighter oxygen before it gets infused. Oh, wow. And it's an incredible product that I just love getting into for my own self. Right. And then helping a lot of my friends quit smoking. Oh, yeah. And that's still going. We got peak vapes with that. And then I rolled it into CBDs. And CBDs are kind of the main focus right now. Yeah. Because, again, it's a massive high leverage impact for optimizing people's health and overall reducing suffering of people in the world. Like it's optional. If you have something that can help you heal or overcome a challenge, and that's a choice for you and you can access that, that's beautiful.
Well, what's beautiful, man, is that you had a huge smoothie company, then you rolled into helping people get off smoking, and then now healing. So you've got like these trifectas of different niches, but under the health umbrella. So, man, that's just super inspiring. And I didn't really know the background of the two newer ones, so it's great to hear that firsthand. Because I would always see your updates about the smoothies, and I do smoothies every day.
All the time.
Let me ask you, the one challenge that went viral recently was the celery cleanse. the celery.
Oh yeah,
juice?
Medical Medium.
Yeah.
You know, his books came out, some great info in there, and it was fun to see that, because
Yeah.
I know the feeling of something like that taking off.
Right.
And it was incredible to see that, even with something as simple as some would perceive as celery juice.
Yeah.
It's
Have
very
you done
hydrating. It's great.
Yeah.
I mean, I do celery juice all the time.
Oh, yeah,
I've been doing it for over 10 years now.
Okay.
Yeah, like even back in the day at Whistler, we were blending up, we were making juices, we were making smoothies.
Yeah.
You know, our friend Craig, who was there, he was one of the original guys. He and David Wolf are the ones that got me into like superfood and different types of supplements, and got me down that rabbit hole. So big shout out to them, Craig Allen and Dave Wolf there. And yeah, it was just an incredible journey of, you know, just realizing how the simple nutrition in vegetables.
Yeah.
You juice it or you have a smoothie with it. And ideally keep it low sugar. Please keep it low sugar. That definitely helps. A lot of people throw way too many apples or beets or carrots in there, and it's tasty, but you're spiking your blood sugar.
Yeah.
And that's
especially in the morning,
problems.
especially if you're doing it in the morning. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely don't want that. Keep the carbs and the sugars more in the late afternoon, evening time.
Well, man, like, also beyond what you've created for yourself, you're probably, I would say, one of the most connected people I know. Like, you know, like you were doing Rich Dad, Poor Dad with Robert Kiyosaki in the office there.
Cash flow games.
Cash flow. So like you've worked with so many massive enterprises. How do you manage networking and kind of like developing these kind of relationships and connections? Like you just are a guy that just knows everyone. So like,
funny.
and I remember because you were just moving to Vancouver kind of when I was leaving. So
Yeah,
you're
around
actually
that
not,
time.
you've been living here for how long now?
It's been almost 10 years. It's around
Yeah,
that time. It
right.
was actually I have to go through and count the years now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was so I'm an Marinadian. So I'm a little mix of both. I'm from the States originally, and I live in Canada most of the time.
Yeah.
And I love to travel in between. And yeah, just when I moved to Canada, like I'd come here to visit for the trip with Mike Dillard and the whole magnetic sponsoring crew back then.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with Whistler, and I fell in love with the city, and was just blown away. It was I grew up in a mix of New York and Colorado.
Okay.
And so coming to Vancouver, you've got ocean, mountains, trees, you got the forest everywhere, you got some beaches around, like the city and the urban development, and then you have total deep nature.
Yeah.
And it was just, for me, it just had everything. It's got it all. And the cleanliness of the air, the purity of the water.
The health consciousness here. There's a yoga studio on every corner. Everything's organic, whole food. You know, like it's just like a very health conscious city. So
you got Starbucks on every corner, a weed shop on every corner, and a yoga studio on every corner.
It's an interesting place. Yeah, I just had it. I just went down and got some for lunch, actually. I missed that. But yeah, you know, you're just a guy that gets planted probably anywhere in the world, and you can just build amazing connections. So like, as far as like getting connected with Mike Dillard, who, guys, if you haven't heard I guess he changed it from Self-Made Man, but now the Mike Dillard podcast. It's probably the #1 business podcast out there, like one of them.
Oh, he's crushing it. He's doing such a fantastic job. And actually, he interviewed me about biohacked ketosis. So I'd launched a course a while back called Biohacked Ketosis. Because keto was just starting to blow up. I've been doing it for years myself, just to manage. I've had a lot of brain injuries, over 28 concussions ranging from mild to severe.
Really? Well, because you're a professional snowboarder, or like
back in the day, I was doing all that, and a lot of knocks to the head.
Yeah.
And so I had to manage that in my own brain as well. And a fun side note on that, actually, 2 weeks ago, I finally got to do a 3D brain spect image. I don't know if you're familiar with Dr. Daniel Amen in the States, Amen Clinics.
Oh, I've heard of it.
Yeah, he's sort of like America's brain doctor, a genius, absolute genius with what he does, and he's helping so many people. And I was going to do it with him in his clinic in Newport, and then I found out that there was a machine here in Canada. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. I can just do it here. And so I went through and I did it, and it was a simple, easy procedure. Yeah. And then went through and got my 3D brain image back. So I actually have a 3D image of my brain.
Wow.
And it was amazing because I had sort of predicted beforehand, just for fun. I was like, they're going to find this, 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 and this, because I knew my own history and I knew what parts of the brain I felt my behavior was being affected by. And very simply, it's just, certain regions of the brain getting too much blood flow or not enough, or just the right amount. It's kind of the super basic way to understand it. And so sure enough, on the report, they come back and they show, increased perfusion, which basically means increased blood flow to these regions, decrease to these regions, a history of multiple traumatic brain injuries. Like, they saw all of that on my brain scan, and it was incredible. But overall, my brain was incredibly healthy. Okay. So it was really cool to see that, because I was worried there might be some other lingering issues, like what's going to go on here between ADD and all sorts of different aspects. Having heavy metals, which can get in the brain, having mold exposure, which can also get in the brain, and pesticides, which get up there. And I just was so worried that all of that was going to catch up with me one day. And so now I'm just managing all that, just detoxing the stuff out. I'm doing the lab testing, which gives me a data-driven decision matrix to identify what I have to deal with and what I don't.
Yeah.
And then I can make the choices for my daily routines based on supporting my desired outcomes.
Yeah, man, it's all about your health. It doesn't matter like how much money or business or connections. If you don't have your asset, which is like your number one thing right here, then everything else is useless. Like it's super important to get this.
He who dies with the most toys is still dead.
Yeah, no, I know. It's my grandmother would always say, if you have your health, then you're wealthier than anybody else. Like it's super important.
Absolutely.
So talking about all that, what to kind of put a bow on this here, I know that we're kind of going quite long here, but what would you say for somebody watching that's kind of like, okay, it's summer, I want to start kind of like, feeling better, looking better. What would be some kind of like easy hacks apart from the ones that you said before? Like, I'm just trying to think of one last question I want to ask you at the end. But yeah, what would you say for people to do to just kind of really get everything kind of like optimized?
Yeah, going through, start with the basics, start with simplicity.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times health can be overwhelming and people get into it and see things like chelation and they see this like, oh, what is all this stuff? If you're not around it or you're not in the medical world, it's very unfamiliar territory. And so, the top things I can say are, get good sunlight in your eyes and on your skin. Sounds funny and counterintuitive, but there's plenty of research to back it, and you will notice the difference in how you feel.
That's why people feel so good on vacation, because usually they're in Mexico or California, and they're getting all this sun, and they're like, it's not just they're on vacation not working, they're actually getting exposure and in the ocean, getting negative ions and stuff. Like it's.
Well, if you go down to, for example, Playa del Carmen is one of my favorite spots, and we go down there a few times every year. And it's incredible because it's a former crater. It's a big asteroid impact there millions of years ago or whatever it was. You'll have to check the details on Wikipedia. But what happened was it pushed the mantle of the Earth down. So it actually changes the electromagnetic spectrum in that area. Oh, wow. So it's incredibly rejuvenating. When you go to Playa del Carmen, you're just like in this rejuvenating chamber of energy. Yeah. And it sounds funny, but again, we can measure this stuff. Yeah. And you feel the difference when you're there.
I could say the same thing. I was in the Dead Sea in Israel, and it's the lowest place on Earth, apparently. Yeah. And you just feel different when you come out of there. Like there's something going on. So I can the
electromagnetic spectrum, we are electrical magnetic biochemical beings. Yeah. Right. Technology affects us. EMS affects us. Yeah. There's a big controversy going around that right now. Yeah. Do your own research on it. Yeah. Do your own testing. And just be prepared for those kinds of things. Yeah. But as long as you get the really good light in your eyes and on your skin, I'm talking like no contacts, no glasses. If you can get naked in the sun, get naked in the sun. Yeah. Get sunlight on your junk. You're boosting testosterone as a male, and you're boosting all the healthy hormones as a female. Yeah. And that's something that we just rarely get these days. Sure. Because it's taboo. It's weird, but it makes a massive difference. Key hydration. Make sure you're getting properly hydrated. Yeah. A lot of people think they need to drink a lot of water and they pee a lot. But that means you're not actually absorbing the water. Right. The type of water we need is a different form. It's called exclusion zone water, or easy water is for short. And that's the water inside our cells. That's the actual plasma liquid that allows everything to occur properly within the cell to process carbohydrates, proteins, amino acids, and break everything down and then recharge and rejuvenate every other tissue in the body. So that's really key. Movement as well. Go for a walk. Start where you're at. Yeah. If you're a pro athlete, then hit it hard. If you're someone just barely getting off the couch, then start just with a walk in nature. Baby steps into it. Yeah. And once you get that taken care of, focus on stress in your life. Make sure you reduce that. If you got heavy metals, get them out. If you're dealing with pesticide exposure, work on that. How would somebody know if they were exposed to pesticides or mold or things like that? What are some of the symptoms? Yeah. So heavy metals are a tough one because not a lot of people realize where they could be exposed. So I always recommend testing. Yeah. I'm a big data freak, so I love testing and verifying, because if it's not your issue, don't bother with it. Yeah. Work on other aspects, but it's really good to know what you're dealing with. Yeah. And there's some great tests out there that'll find each specific thing in your tissues, and you can realize, okay, these are your levels. You can do some protocols, try some strategies, retest, and you can see the difference. Right. So when I did my IV chelation, I did one test before, one test after, and you see the different colored bars on the chart go down lower, and that's a good sign for that. Right. Mold, a lot of people will probably know they've been in a moldy place. That's usually, oh yeah, I was in a friend's basement one time 20 years ago, and it smelled pretty musky and gross, and I had a headache that lasted for 3 months. Well, you've had mold exposure. Right. And most of us have, especially Pacific Northwest, out in this region. A little bit less so in drier climates, but still can happen. Yeah. Anytime there's water in a dark, damp place, mold is going to take hold, and it's a real, real big issue. And the pesticides as well. There are specific tests that will actually go through and test your tissues to see if you have glyphosate or other types of pesticides. And from there, you can work on remediating those in your own body as well.
Man, so much to go through, so little time. We could talk for hours about this stuff. It's like, there's just so much content around, and it's just very rare to sit down with a guy that knows it better than pretty much anyone out there. So where can people connect with you to follow and learn and see what you're up to and support what you're doing?
Yeah, it's so I mean I'm on Facebook. I'm not as active as I'd like to be on there right now. It's actually part of a split test we can talk about later. But yeah, so I'm having fun with that. But you can find me on there and follow me there. Just fb.com/Celeb Jennings. And then I've got Instagram as well, same thing at Celeb Jennings. Got CalebJennings.com, which I'll be updating soon with some more details. And we've got peakvapes.com for the organic vape juice. We've got motherspurecbd.com for the CBD product. And yeah, I'll have some updates between those and any new sites or projects we have launching off. I'll update everybody through the content there.
That's amazing, man. And I'll have all those links in the show notes. So definitely collab and reach out, follow what he's up to. And man, it's just, it's been awesome. We got to do this more often than just once every 10 years.
Absolutely. Yeah. I got to come visit in South Korea sometime.
Yeah, man.
That'd be great.
Yeah. I was just in Bali too, and I'm spending quite a bit of time in Hong Kong as well. So I'm in Asia somewhere usually. Anything that you want to share as far as, I wanted to ask you the one question I thought of earlier, Wi-Fi. Just turning Wi-Fi off at night is probably one of the best things people can do. Nobody really thinks of doing that, but we were talking about that earlier. Like you do it, I've been doing it for years, especially with like the 5G networks coming soon. That's something that you do as well, right?
Yeah. So yeah, it's a big part of the biohacking world. And like I said, a lot of controversy around it, and news media organizations going back and forth. Big push for 5G. But really, like, one of the best tests you can do that's really simple and mostly accessible for a lot of people is just go camping for a couple weeks. We were talking about this earlier. Just get outside of your environment, get deep into nature. Don't use your phone. Like, just be off grid for 10 days to 14 days. And pay attention to how your health changes. Your circadian rhythm will align with the natural rhythms of the sun rising and setting. You'll get the best sleep of your life, and usually a lot of your issues will diminish or even completely go away. So that's a big one. And then if you're at home, you can hardwire your internet very easily. There's Apple's given us so many dongles. We have to attach things like headphones and everything else. What's one more dongle to help reduce the electricity and the different frequencies in the air that are affecting your skin? They're affecting your organs. They're affecting your brain. Let's reduce that down a bit. So use it when you got it, but if you can get it on a kill switch or just unplug it at night, it's not that hard. Like, you're not using the internet while you're asleep.
At night. Yeah, exactly.
So just unplug it and make sure you get better sleep so you can rock out whatever you do on the internet the next day. That's a big one.
And don't wear Bluetooth headphones.
Yeah, Bluetooth, not so fun. Not so fun. Also, ketosis, because keto's huge. Do it right. Don't do it the wrong way, because you will have it backfire on you a bit. I've got a course called Biohacked Ketosis, which is biohackedketosis.com. That's all about that. I'm actually rejigging it. I'm going to break out some quick start protocols from it, just to get people off and running a lot quicker, because I cover a lot of detox principles in there too. But especially if you've had traumatic brain injuries, concussions, anything like that, it's an absolute game changer for your brain and for your entire life.
Guys, we can't even cover everything. This guy's got so many programs and companies and protocols, and
we didn't get to talk about deuterium.
Next time, man. Next time. Yeah, I appreciate it, man, because this is something that, people in my circles aren't really super dialed into, but it's also to connect with somebody who is, and I like learning from the best, and he's one of the best in the world. So thanks, guys, once again for tuning in, and on Facebook up here.
Thank you much.
You guys know what to do. Go ahead, share this out. It can really make a huge difference in somebody's life, just optimizing a few of these things each day, or baby steps, as you said, take it slow. We'll see you guys on the next episode, and happy to be back in Canada. I'll show you guys a view of that we were talking about earlier. Look at this. This is Vancouver. This is one of the nicest cities in the world.
Look at that.
And we were snowboarding up in these mountains past there. So yeah, I definitely missed that. But anyway, guys, wherever you are, have a great summer. See you guys next time. Cheers.